What is up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. Got my Super Trucker headset on. Like I said, there's still a $20 bounty if you happen to see me wearing this outside of my truck. Come get your $20. But anyway, I did a video, a tag video, basically where I was answering some personal questions, some business related questions, and I watched a video today that kind of applied to one of the answers that I left in one of the videos. So in that video, I'm gonna leave a link to that video up here. Click on this little banner right here. It'll take you to that video. But the question that I answered in that video was what one of my favorite quotes was. And one of my favorite quotes is, "You can't skip the struggle." So in that video, I kind of took a shot at younger people under like 30. And really, I wanted to kind of clarify that a little bit. First of all, I wasn't talking about everybody under 30, but I'm going to say a larger percent of people that are kind of in that age range than was in my age range. And what I mean by that is that, when I was in high school, when you were graduating, there was like three options. It was going to be college, military, or you were getting a roommate. That was it. I don't even remember one of my friends like hanging out in their parents' house until they were in their mid-20s or damn near 30s. And one thing I'm going to tell you is this hits home because I have two of these motherfuckers in my house right now. So, anyway, so maybe I'm to blame for that. You know what I mean? You always try to make things better for the next generation, and sometimes, maybe you make them a little bit softer. I don't know. But that's not the point of the video. The point of the video was, I'm watching a video, and it's somebody at Prime, and they're saying that they quit Prime, and they quit Prime because they weren't making any money on their lease. And if you really weren't like paying attention to the video, you may have missed out on why they weren't making money on the lease. And part of it was she said that she didn't understand how to run her clock and late on loads, stuff like that. So partially that could be blamed on a trainer or something like that. But when I say you can't skip the struggle, at 51 years old, and I keep saying that, but it's kind of relevant because I think the older you are, the easier it is to put things in perspective. So, for example, when I was going through training, I was like, okay, well, even at the onset of training, I was like, I plan on doing more training than what they're asking if it's allowable. And it's because you realize that the more effort you put in up front, the easier it is down the run. Sort of like when, sort of like a carpenter that says measured twice, cut once, or something like that, whatever that phrase is. And I truly believe that all the time I spent in training, all 150,000 miles of my TNT training actually has paid off. And it's paid off in a number of different ways. It's paid off that I haven't had any critical events, accidents. A lot of the shippers and receivers I'm going to are familiar to me. And a lot of the complicated ones, I'm not sure if you happen to be with Prime and you've ever gone to this Sierra Nevada receiver up in North Carolina. Me and my trainer and another Prime truck were out there lost trying to find this place. And you know what? Since I've gone there a couple times, bang, I know exactly how to get there now. But here's kind of what I'm saying as far as you can't skip the struggle. Too many people that are with Prime or any company are so eager to knock out all these miles and knock out their training so they could get out on their own. Then when they get out there on their own, they realize, you know what? I never learned everything that I should have learned when I was with my trainer, and now they're struggling because they were in such a rush to get done with their training. Now, I understand it. I wanted to get off my trainer's truck too, not because I didn't like him. As a matter of fact, we were talking about putting the team back together and teaming up again. I mean, I kind of mildly thought about it, but I looked at how simple things were and how much more rested I was, and I was like, I can't go back to that. And the reason that I feel that way and I feel so comfortable now was all those uncomfortable moments that we had when the truck wasn't stopping, or just everything that you deal with in training for that period of time actually makes you appreciate more what you're going through now than if you would have just done the 30,000 miles, hurried up and got off, and then got on your own knowing half the shit that you should have learned in the first place. So, can that stuff be wrapped up faster than 50,000 miles? I think 50,000 might be a little bit excessive, but a lot of people are blaming their trainers for this or blaming their trainers for that. A lot of that blame you need to place on yourself if you happen to be in TNT training, or you left TNT training and didn't get what you needed. And a lot of that is research. So if you're in TNT training right now, I'm going to tell you that if you go on the Prime mobile app, there's going to be a checklist of everything that you should know before you get done with your trainer. It's your job to go and make sure that all that stuff is handled. There's some stuff that I didn't really put much effort into because I didn't think it was that needed, and really it wasn't. But I never really did a comm check. I think I did it once, but I really wasn't paying attention. And you know what, that was one of those things that I kind of had to learn on the fly, but that was like learning math on a calculator, so that wasn't really that tough. But it's your job is really what the point is. It's your job to tell your trainer, you know what, I got this down. There's no need to kind of go back over this. Here's what I need help with. And you need to tell your trainer how to actually train you more proficiently. So what I've been seeing in some videos primarily, and actually just heard through comments or whatever, is that they're more or less waiting on their trainer to train them. And in a perfect world, that would be the way it works. So listen, if you are out here and you're either about to go in TNT training, or maybe you're in TNT training, like I said, don't skip the struggle. I'll be the first one to admit it. I'm not perfect. I'm trying to, give you advice that maybe I should have taken myself. But there were plenty of times when we were at a truck stop and maybe I was tired, but you're going to get tired anyway, and it was time to back in, and I'd just be like, what, could you just go ahead and knock this out? I've been driving for 9 hours or 10 hours or whatever the case was. And he would go ahead and knock it out or whatever. And you know what? Because I skipped the struggle during that point, maybe it made those times a little bit harder when I got out on my own, or it was times when we were at a shipper and receiver and it was time for me to actually be in the sleeper. And then rather than getting up and kind of going through that process, he might have just knocked that out on his own. So any of these times where you can, you learn through adversity. Adversity is going to make you, is going to harden you. It's going to make you a better person. Or not, well, it will make you a better person too, but it's going to make you more proficient. So don't always look for the easy way out. That's kind of how this relates to trucking. But, here's a personal story that kind of relates to you can't skip the struggle. There was a time that I was so broke. This was going back to like 94, somewhere in there. I was so broke that I had a cat, which was stupid because I couldn't take care of myself. So why am I going to have a cat? But anyway, that's beside the point. Had a cat. I was so broke at this one point where I could not buy the cat food. And I ended up going to a shelter, and then they gave me some, food to feed the cat and everything. And then shortly after that, the cat had a medical issue, and I took it down to the vet, and they told me it was going to be like $1,800. And sometimes I think you might work harder for an animal or another person than you will for yourself. So they allowed me to put that on payment plans, and in some sort of a way, it actually put me in a position where I said, I'm never going to go through this again. So from that point, whether it was reckless spending or not working as hard as I should have or whatever, that situation is what I always look at and say, you know what? I'm proud of where I am now because of where I was at. And, you know, I hate to take shots at my own kids. They're probably not going to be watching this video either way. But, you know, the problem is what I'm saying with, you know, a lot of younger people, and not all younger people, but it is a little bit more prevalent in this younger generation. Is it's so much easier for this younger generation to ask for money, ask for this, ask for that, and they never go through that struggle. So they're actually getting robbed of the feeling that you get when you actually overcome something. Like, you know, when I look at everything that I have now and I look back to where I was then, I never thought that I would be in that position, and or I would be in this position at this point. And that struggle actually makes me more appreciative of where I am now. So relating this back to trucking, listen, if you're with the trucking company and you're putting in, or, you know, they're saying you have to put in these miles and you think that those miles are excessive, listen, in the long run, whether it's 50,000 miles, 30,000 miles, or whatever it is, you're talking about months. And usually the people I see that have the problem with all this extra time or spending too much time, you know, training, are the younger people that actually have more time to invest in it. If you're 21 years old, what percentage of your life is another 3 months? 3 months of a 51 years old is, you know, that's a little bit different. Now you're talking about a larger percentage of their remaining life. So I should be the one bitching about doing longer time in training, but the problem is with, or not the problem, but what happens is with age comes wisdom, and I'm able to understand that all that extra time you're putting in is making it easier, which kind of takes me to another quote from the famous rapper Ice Cube, and that actually no, this was Dr. Dre, excuse me. It's greater later. So you know what? Struggle now, put in the work now, and make sacrifices now, because it's going to be greater later. So anyway, just trying to put things in perspective. I've been seeing, you know, more and more increasingly, especially with Prime drivers, but even other drivers, where, you know, they're complaining about the time with their trainer, and that the time is excessive, and you know, I'm just trying to help them see kind of how this may benefit them. But as I say in all the videos when I'm talking about a trainer, listen, if you don't have the right trainer and you're at a company like Prime, which will take that in consideration, you need to get another trainer. I think I was lucky, and even if I wasn't lucky, I mean, I probably, you know, I went into training expecting to do, or wanting to do more training. Wasn't able to do it with my first trainer because, you know, things weren't, it just wasn't going to be able to happen with them. But that was on the far extreme. Had I been with somebody that I could have tolerated, I would have still soaked up as much as I could with them, even if it wasn't the perfect situation that I did get with my last trainer. That being said, listen, if you happen to be up at the Springfield terminal, today is February 2nd. My trainer is going to be up at Springfield, and he's going back through orientation. He's going to be going solo for a couple months, and he's going to get back in training. So listen, if you get a trainer named Devion, you got a good trainer. Anyway, That's a shout out to you, Devion, if you happen to be watching this video. Anyway, listen, don't skip the struggle. I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. I appreciate it. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.